band on stage, just a few turntables and some records.
It's definitely gone a long way. I mean, really, they only started beat mixing back in about, the early 80s, and it's really evolved. There's a lot more people that have gotten into it in the last few years. I was in 8th grade, so I couldn't go to the bars, couldn't do anything. So I walked around with my headset on all day, and I'm listening to all this great music that's coming over from Miami, from South Beach, from all these places that you can pick up in the Bahamas. And I'm just going, this is great. What I like about it, I love people. I mean, I love making people dance, showing people a good time, and giving people something that they can't hear on the radio. For the United States, especially markets like Grand Rapids, they take whatever they're spoon-fed, the same 20 songs that are programmed by a 65-year-old guy living somewhere in a box. They don't see what's going on in the rest of the world.
How do you pursue it outside of the club scene?
If you're a fan of music like this, I would say that the first thing you want to do is you want to expose yourself to as much as possible. You want to listen. The internet is so wide open these days. I mean, there's so much music out there that you can sit there all day long and listen to music. And there's tons and tons of websites, especially from the UK, that broadcast, stream music all day long.
I recognize a mixing board, I recognize a turntable. What's some of this other stuff?
Some of this other crazy stuff. This right here is a CD player. It's a CDJ 1000 Mark II. It's one of the newer generation CD players that actually simulate the use of a turntable.
Shannon runs Bangin' Promotions. A handful of other local DJs get their gigs through him.
And what I look for is I look for the DJs that offered a little something more, not your average, no disrespect to wedding DJs, but DJs that actually had a passion for it and had a passion for learning other kinds of music and exposing people to other things that are out there. The high point is when I look out at the crowd and I see people having fun. I mean, that's the best part of all. When you see people smiling and just going, hands up in the air and smiling and saying, yes, this is where I want to be. That's, that makes it all worthwhile.
In Grand Rapids, Carl Apple, Fox 17 News at 10.
Hey, come on in. How are ya? I'm Shannon Williams. This is where I live. Come on in, I'll give you a quick tour. The kitchen, everything's wired for sound. I have to have dance music playing all the time, so, well, not always dance music, but. I'm very proud of Grand Rapids. I think Grand Rapids is one of the coolest cities. I've traveled many, many places in the world, and Grand Rapids is a very, very unique city. It's been written up in several publications. In fact, Bad Boy Bill wrote in DJ Magazine when he won one of the top DJs in the world a couple years ago that one of the most undiscovered territories that he'd been to was West Michigan. I think the reason he did that was because we've got a really good group of people here. We've got such a diverse crowd. We're not like a Detroit where we've got, either the hardcore R&B and hip-hop crowd or we've got the Detroit techno crowd. In Grand Rapids, you have people that like just about everything, and they all come together, they all play together, and it really makes for a neat setting. It's a very safe city. It's a very neat city. It was voted the All-American City a few years ago because of its diversity and because it is such a good, clean, healthy place to live. So I'm very proud of Grand Rapids as a whole. A few years ago, you had giant parties where 16, 17-year-old kids, because they were all-age parties, were allowed to go to. So kids were being exposed to a lot of different styles of music at a very young age that when they got old enough to go into the clubs, those kids were exposed to a lot more, which made the ability of the clubs to offer kids something more diverse made more sense because the kids had been exposed to a lot of different styles of music. Whereas now, most of those parties have ended And with the exception of, a couple of teen clubs, there really isn't much for kids to do as they're growing up. So all they're exposed to is what's on the radio. Now, with the internet, with satellite radio, that's changing because there's a lot more options for kids, a lot more places for them to go and listen to music. And if kids can get their internet connections up fast enough, quick enough, to where they can go to these websites from the UK and from Australia and from Germany and from around the world, the kids are going to be exposed to this, and hopefully that will move Grand Rapids forward as far as their musical diversity. These turntables are the limited edition Technics gold-plated turntables. When I was younger and saw them, I said, I want to have those someday. So I'm very fortunate that I was able to get those now. And this is where I get to listen to music at. So makes it fun. One thing that's changed is the downtown area in Grand Rapids has exploded. Prior to a few years ago, there was this misconception that downtown wasn't a very safe place, that it was kind of seedy, that was, it was better sticking to the suburbs, and you had a lot of clubs that were in the perimeter of the city that gave the appearance of being something a lot safer than going to the downtown area. Well, then there was a lot of investment into the downtown area, the arena, a lot of great entertainment districts that have been created, and now you've got a really neat cultural setting where people can drive to one point and they can walk to a lot of different clubs within that small geographical area. In here, my studio, office, music production, all that good stuff. Come on upstairs, I'll show you the rest. The neat thing that does is it allows people to maybe go and deal with something at the beginning that's familiar to them, maybe the things that they hear on the radio. But it's pretty amazing, people get out there and they get partying a little bit, their courage level goes up as the night goes on, and next thing you know, they're searching for something more. They're like, yeah, we want to step this party up a couple notches. We don't want to hear the same crap that we hear on the radio all day long, bring it on, bring us something more. And now that we have this area that we can walk around in, it's really neat because kids can get out of their cars, or adults can get out of their cars, park, and go to 4 or 5 different spots within the same geographical area and really take their whole clubbing experience to another level.